Welcome to the Gemara on Daf Bet Amud Bet. This video is meant to be watched in two parts and has accompanying questions on a sheet that's linked to from the website. Matnitin de lo ki hai Tana. Our Mishnah is not like this Tana, as we're about to see. De Tanya, as we learn in a Breitza. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha Omer. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says, Krachim hamukfin choma mimot Achashverosh korin b'chamisha asar. Cities that were encircled with a wall from the days of Achashverosh read on the 15th. This whole piece is the Breita. So the Gemara opened with a statement giving us a Breita that disagrees with our Mishnah. And your first question is, what's the difference between Ditanya, we learn in a Breita, and the word Ditnan? The Gemara goes on, My tam is Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. The Gemara itself now wants to know, what's Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha's reasoning? Ki Shushan. Just like Shushan. Ma Shushan mukefet choma mimot Achashverosh v'korin b'chamisha asar, af kol shemukefet choma mimot Achashverosh korin b'chamisha asar. Just as Shushan, which is encircled by a wall from the days of Achashverosh, and they read on the 15th, so too, any city which is encircled by a wall from the days of Achashverosh reads on the 15th. In other words, Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha is assuming that Shushan was walled from the time of Achashverosh, not necessarily before. And since we know Shushan reads on the 15th, it must be all cities that are walled from the time of Achashverosh specifically read on the 15th. V'tana didan, and our Tana, meaning the Tana of our Mishnah, my Tama, what is his reasoning? Yalif praze praze. He learns out praze praze. I'm going to put both of those words in quotes because they're each quoted from a verse. So he learns out, meaning he makes a Gzera Shava, which is a type of connection between verses. We'll talk more about it in class. Between the word praze and the word praze as they appear in two different verses. K'tiv hacha, it says here in Esther Tet Yotet, Al ken hayudim haprazim. Therefore, the Jews of the unwalled cities. And I'm going to put that in yellow since it's a verse from Tanakh. Uktiv hatam, and it says there, in Dvarim Gimel Hey, levad me'arei haprazi harbe me'od. It's actually speaking there about walled cities, saying aside from all the walled cities, there are also unwalled cities. I'll put that verse in yellow as well. Malahalan mukefet chomami mot Yeshua ben Nun, afkan mukefet chomami mot Yeshua ben Nun. So just as there, meaning in Dvarim, it's talking about cities that were walled from the time of Yeshua ben Nun. So too here, it's talking about cities that were walled from the time of Yeshua ben Nun. That's the answer to the question of what is the reasoning of our Tana. Now the Gemara begins to think this through. Here's an introduction to another question. Bishlama Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha lo amar ketana didan deleit le praze praze. It makes sense that Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha doesn't say like our Tana, deleit le praze praze, because he does not have the Gzera Shava of praze praze. A Gzera Shava is a specific type of exegetical tool, and you can't make up your own. You either have it or you don't. So if you have the tradition of a particular connection of this type, you can use it, and if you don't, then you can't. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha didn't agree with our Tana because he does not have this Gzera Shava of praze praze. Ella, here's the question, Tana didan, my Tana lo amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. But our Tana, the Tana of our Mishnah, why did he not agree with Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha? Why didn't he say like Yeshua ben Karcha? My Tama, question mark, exclamation point, Taha itle praze praze. That's silly. It's a silly question, right? Whenever we see the question repeated, it means your question was kind of ridiculous. But my Tama, what's his reasoning? Taha itle praze praze, he has the Gzera Shava of praze praze. In other words, it makes sense that he disagrees. One has this Gzera Shava, one doesn't. So of course, they're not going to say each like the other. Similar to our structure, right after the Mishnah, when we first started learning the Gemara, we've killed that question. We've knocked down that question with this response. Right? Once we say, my Tama, Daha itle praze praze, we've killed the question. And so here's the restatements of the question. Hachika amar. Here's what we're really asking. Here's what we're really saying. Ella Shushan de'avdinan keman. Rather, Shushan. What about Shushan? De'avdinan keman. According to whom or like whom does Shushan act? Lo keprazim, not like the unwalled cities. Shushan does not read on the 14th like the unwalled cities. Velo kemukafin, and not like the walled cities. Because if you believe, like our Tana does, that the city had to be walled from the days of Yoshua ben Nun, Shushan hasn't been walled since the days of Yoshua ben Nun. So whose category does Shushan fit into? Amar Rava, va'amri la chadi. Rava gives the answer to this question, or some say it was chadi, it was a stam response without the name Rava attached. Shani Shushan. Nope, Shushan is different. Shani means different. So Shushan is different. Ho'il v'na'asa ba'nes. Since a miracle was done in it. Meaning, yes, Shushan is actually in its own category, because the miracle was done actually in Shushan, and we know from the Megillah itself that Shushan celebrated on the 15th, so they get to be an exception to the case of the city that had to be walled from the days of Yoshua ben Nun. Okay, pause there, please. You can stop this video, and what I'm asking you to do is to make a structure chart of the Gemara thus far. Just like we did in class, question, answer, response. You don't have to provide a lot of detail. And once you're done with that, just leave yourself space so you can keep going with the structure chart when you watch the second half of the video.